Cairo 3 was quiet. Too quiet, the wind moved slowly over the golden grass. The sun was low in the sky, casting long shadows across the fields. Birds flew overhead, small and harmless, just like everything else on the planet. There were no wild animals, no storms, no weapons. Just farms, greenhouses, and quiet people. It was a human colony built 50 years ago. Nobody really cared about it. Even Earth barely remembered it. The people on Cairo 3 liked it that way. No war, no crime, no noise. Just peace. But peace is often broken when no one expects it. A boy named Talon stood at the edge of a forest, holding a small bag of tools. He was only 14, but he worked hard. He had dark hair, rough hands, and curious eyes. His father had sent him to fix a fence that kept the crops safe from bugs. Talon liked the forest. It was quiet there. Sometimes he heard strange sounds, clicks, and hums deep inside the trees, but his father always said it was just nature. This time the sound was different. It was low. A deep hum, like something big. Talon froze. He looked around. Nothing moved. The air felt heavy. The birds were gone. The wind had stopped. Then he saw the light. Not sunlight. It came from above, through the trees. A slow, spinning light blue. In green, blinking in patterns. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. He took a step back, then another. He heard something move, branches breaking, soft footsteps. Talon dropped his bag and ran. He didn't look back. He didn't want to. See what was in the trees. When he got home, he told his father, but his father only laughed. "You saw a drone?" he said. "Old junk from the early colony days." Talon shook his head. "It wasn't a drone. It was alive." His father looked at him. Smile faded, but only for a second. "You've been working too hard," he said. "Get some rest." Talon didn't sleep that night. He stayed by the window, eyes on the sky. He didn't know it yet, but that would be the last normal night Cairo 3 would ever have. The next morning, people noticed strange things. The stars didn't look right. One of the moons had turned red. Birds flew in circles, confused. Machines in the greenhouses stopped working, all at the same time. Still, no one believed anything was wrong. "This place is old," said Mayor Ralden, a kind man with gray hair and a soft voice. "Sometimes things break. We'll fix them." But Lena Marks didn't believe that. She was a quiet woman, nearly 60, who worked in the repair station near the edge of town. Long ago, she had served in Earth's military. She never spoke about it. People just knew she had seen things. Lena was working on a power unit when she noticed the signal. It wasn't from the colony. It wasn't from Earth. It came from the sky. Short, repeating pulse, almost like a knock. She played it again and again. Then she grabbed her old data tool and searched the colony's history. Nothing matched. She stared at the screen. Her fingers tapped slowly. Then she whispered, "This is not natural." That night, something else happened. Talon was walking near the forest again, this time with his older sister, Mira. She was brave. She never believed in ghosts or monsters. When Talon told her about the lights, but that night, she stopped laughing. They both saw it. A shape in the trees, tall, thin, and moving without sound. It had long arms, glowing eyes, and something like armor on its chest. It walked slowly, looking at everything. They ran. Behind them, they heard a clicking sound, like metal hitting stone. Then silence. The next day, the ground shook. Just a little. Just enough for people to feel it. No one could explain it. The colony didn't have mining machines. The area wasn't volcanic. Still, the earth trembled. Lena called the mayor. "There's something in orbit," she said. The mayor frowned. "A ship. Yes, and it's not human." The mayor's face went pale. Lena continued. "I saw its signal. It's been scanning the surface." He took a deep breath. "How long until it lands?" "I think it already has." At that moment, across the colony, communication lines went dead. Screens turned black. Radios hissed with static. Lights flickered. Then the sky changed. A line. A fire moved across the clouds, something entering the atmosphere fast. Then another, and another. 12 in total. People ran outside, pointing. Some screamed, some prayed. Some just watched, frozen. The ships weren't large. They looked like black stones falling from the sky. They hit the ground far from the town, deep in the forests. But the colony felt every impact. Boom, boom, boom. The forest lit up. Smoke rose. Talon watched from his roof. His heart pounded. He knew what this meant. "They're here," he whispered. The colony was small. There were no soldiers, no defense systems. Just drones for farming, and old tools for fixing machines. Lena didn't wait. She opened an old box under her floor. Inside were pieces of old Earth tech, a broken rifle, a knife, a few energy cells. She picked them up and started working. Talons. Father gathered the neighbors. "We need to hide," he said. "Can't fight." But Lena arrived, her hands dirty, her eyes burning. "If we don't fight, we die," she said. "They came because they think we're weak. Let's prove them wrong." Some laughed, others shouted, but some listened. That night the first attack came. It wasn't loud. It wasn't like the movies. It was quiet, careful, one by one. People went missing. A farmer, a young woman from the bakery, a family near the woods, no bodies, signs of struggle, just silence. Lena set traps around the edges of town, simple ones, wires, mines made from fuel cells, sound alarms. Then she waited. Talon stayed by the window again. He didn't sleep. His sister sat beside him, holding a kitchen knife at midnight. Something moved near the barn. A shape, tall, thin, fast. It stepped into the trap. A flash, a loud bang. The creature screamed. Sound like metal grinding on metal, and it vanished. Into the trees. In the morning, they found green blood on the ground. Thick, sticky, burning the grass. Now, people believed the mayor called a meeting. "We have no army. No help. Earth doesn't even know we're under attack. We must survive on our own." Lena stood up. "We fight smart. Don't face them head on. We trap. We confuse. We bleed them slowly." People nodded. Not all, but enough. Talon helped. 2, he ran messages, carried tools, watched the skies. He didn't feel like a child anymore. The aliens returned. Each night, they came closer. Each night, traps exploded. Each morning, the humans repaired, rebuilt, and prepared more. The aliens began to change. They sent flying machines, small black drones with red lights. They scanned the town, marked the buildings, studied the people. Lena caught one. She pulled it apart and found a map of the colony inside. "They're planning something," she said one evening. Talon followed a strange sound near the fields, a hum like before. He found something large hidden under camouflage machine, half buried. With lights blinking, he ran to tell Lena. She looked at it, and her face turned white. "They're building a beacon," she said, "to call for reinforcements." Stared at the machine. "We have to destroy it," Talon said. "We don't know what it will do," said someone. "I don't care," said Lena. "We're destroying it tonight." That night, they packed explosives made from old mining tools. They crept into the woods in silence. Lena, Talon, Mira, and a few others. They placed the bombs, timed the charges, but just before they left, the aliens attacked. From the trees, shapes moved, fast blades in their hands, glowing eyes bright. One man screamed as he was taken. Another fell with a spear in his chest. Lena shouted, "Run!" Talon tripped, but Mira pulled him up. They barely escaped. The beacon exploded behind them. Fire rose into the sky. The ground shook. But they had done it. The next day, the skies were clear again. No drones, no ships. The attack had stopped for now. People cheered, cried, hugged each other. But Lena stayed quiet. "They'll come again," she said. "This time harder. This time angrier." Talon looked at her. "What do we do?" She smiled a tired smile. "We keep fighting." From orbit, high above Cairo 3, a dark ship watched. It had no windows, no name. Inside, the Drovik commander stared at a screen showing the colony. They were supposed to be weak, he said. This ... is not weakness, another officer asked. Should we send more? The commander narrowed his eyes. No, we erased them. And so, the real war had only just begun. Night fell fast over KAI-RO-3. The wind moved through the trees like whispers in the dark. The fire from the destroyed beacon still glowed in the distance, but the colony remained quiet. Too quiet, everyone waited. Lena didn't sleep. She sat near her window with a cup of black tea and a map of the colony. Her old rifle rested on the table. It was patched together with different parts, half machine, half memory. She had cleaned it 3 times already. Myra and Talon sat together. Outside their house, sharpening tools. They weren't really weapons, just kitchen knives, farming hooks, and steel rods tied to wooden sticks. But they had to be enough. Talon whispered, "They'll come tonight. I feel it." Myra nodded. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. "Then we won't run this time." By midnight, the alarm rang. Not loud, just a short beep. One of Lena's sound traps had been triggered. The colony woke like a heartbeat. People grabbed their tools, their makeshift weapons, their courage. Some hid inside cellars. Others took their place on rooftops and in the dark corners of alleyways. Then came the sound. A deep growl from the forest's edge. Not animal, not machine. Something between, something wrong. Talon peeked from behind a crate. Shapes moved in the shadows. Fast, silent, long arms. Sharp edges. The Drovik were here. This time they came in numbers 12, maybe 15, moved toward the town from all sides. Behind them came their drones, small flying machines. Red lights blinking like angry eyes. The first trap snapped, an explosion of flame and metal. One Drovik went down screaming, black liquid spraying the ground. But the others didn't stop. They didn't care. They moved through the fire, stepping over their fallen soldier. Lena opened fire from her roof. The old rifle kicked hard. Beam shot across the street and hit a drone midair. Exploded like a firecracker. She hit another, then ducked down. The Drovik returned fire, not bullets, energy blasts. Blue streaks tore through walls and melted metal. One hit the bakery, burning a hole through the oven. Talon ran through the smoke, helping an old man crawl from under a broken table. Myra followed, dragging a wounded woman away from the street. The colony fought like wild animals, from rooftops. From windows, from behind crates, they threw firebombs, swung sharp tools, launched traps made from fuel cans and wire. The Drovik were fast, strong, smarter than before, but the humans were desperate. One Drovik entered the greenhouse near the east side. It started scanning the plants, ignoring the humans nearby. That was its mistake. Lena had left a surprise inside. The greenhouse exploded in a ball of green fire. Glass shattered for miles. 2 Drovik burned in the flames. Another ran, skin smoking. Still, the fight wasn't over. A drone spotted Talon near the center square. It dove toward him, spinning its blades. Talon ducked, rolled, and threw a metal rod at it. The drone dodged, but crashed into a power pole. Sparks rained down. Talon didn't stop. He grabbed a wounded girl and pulled her toward safety. Across the colony, 3 more Drovik fell. Their armor cracked under hammers and improvised explosives, but the humans were also falling. 6 people died that night. 12 were wounded. The town square looked like a war zone fire. Smoke, broken machines, and bodies. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the Drovik pulled back. No one knew why. They ran into the trees, fast and silent, leaving their dead behind. The drones flew up into the sky and vanished. People stood in the smoke, coughing, bleeding, shaking, but still alive. Lena looked around at the wounded. At the damage, they were testing us, she said. Talon frowned. Testing. She nodded. They wanted to see how we fight, what we do, what we're made of. Myra kicked a broken drone. We showed them. Lena looked up at the sky. And now they'll return with something worse. They spent the next day fixing what they could. The wounded were taken to the old clinic. Food was shared, water was boiled, tools were cleaned and sharpened again, and the bodies, human and alien, were buried. Talon helped dig the graves. When he looked at the Dravik corpse, he felt strange. It was tall, almost 7 feet. Its skin was pale gray, with armor grown into its bones. Its eyes were black and deep. It had no mouth. "They don't eat," Lena said quietly. "They drain." Talon looked at her. "Why did they come here?" "They thought we were soft," she replied. "Like fruit on a tree." He nodded, "But we weren't." Lena didn't smile. "We weren't soft. We were still unprepared." That night, they heard something new. A sound in the sky, low and sharp. Not thunder. It was a voice, not human. The sound echoed through every speaker, every old radio even. Through metal walls, it spoke in a strange language, clicks, growls, and tones. Then, slowly, it shifted, until the words came in broken English. "You are not worth slavery. You are not worth keeping. You will be erased." Then silence. No one moved. The mayor called a meeting in the town hall. What was left of it, smoke still curled from its walls, but the people gathered anyway. "We must leave," one man said. "Run! Hide!" "Where?" said a woman. "The ships are gone. Earth is weeks away." "We can send a signal," said the mayor. "We must try." Lena stood. Her face was dirty, her voice calm. "They'll kill us before any signal reaches Earth, so we die," someone asked. "No," Lena said. "We make them regret coming here." The room fell quiet. Then Mira stood beside her. "They chose the wrong colony." And one by one, others nodded. Tal and stood too. The next day, they began building. Not homes, not shelters. Weapons, they took apart farming machines, drones, water, pump, anything with metal, wires, energy cells. Lena showed them how to make pulse, traps, EMP charges, and electric nets. Talon and Mira built noise bombs, small boxes that screamed when opened. Confusing the Dravik sensors, they placed traps in the fields, in the woods, even in the wells. The entire colony became a weapon. And still, the Dravik waited. They circled from a distance. Drones scanned. Shapes moved in the night, but no attack came. Lena knew why. "They're watching," she said. "They're afraid." Talon smiled. "Good." But Lena shook her head. "No, fear makes them dangerous." 2 days later, something fell from the sky again. Not a ship. A body. A human body. It landed near the forest burned. Broken, but still wearing a colony uniform. People rushed to it. Face was hard to recognize, but Lena knew. It was one of the missing. He was alive, she said, until now. There was something in his hand, a metal chip. Lena took it, cleaned it, and played the message. It was short, full of static. But one line was clear. "They are inside, listening." Then nothing. Lena crushed the chip in her hand. "We have spies," she said. "Machines, hidden." She ordered the town searched. Every home, every wall. They found 3 small metal bugs, no bigger than a coin. Drones, spies, the Dravik were watching everything, so Lena gave them something to watch. They staged a false retreat. People packed bags, loaded carts, pretended to flee. They let the drones see it. Then they waited that night. The Dravik attacked again. They came fast more this time, 20, maybe more. Drones led the way, but the humans were ready. The square exploded with traps. Houses were empty but wired with fire. Fields were lined with spike traps. The Dravik charged. Thinking the colony was broken, they were wrong. This time, the humans hunted them. Myra took down 2 with her sound bombs. Talon and Lena led a team that trapped a full squad in a burning barn. The battle raged until dawn, when it ended. The ground was covered in alien metal and green. Blood. Only 2 humans died. The Dravik had lost 12. They didn't come back. Not that day. Not the next. Lena stood at the edge of the town, watching the forest. They wanted a weak colony, she said. Talon stood beside her. They got hell instead. And far above them, in the dark sky, the Dravik ship watched in silence. It didn't speak. It simply turned and began to open. The real weapon had arrived, but so had something else, far away. In the black space between stars, Earth had heard the message, and it was sending something back, something angry, something human. The war had just begun. The air smelled like ash dots. Smoke still rose from broken houses. Some buildings were gone completely, turned into black piles of stone and metal. In the middle of the colony square, the humans stood in silence. They had survived 2 attacks, had killed many of the Dravik, but no one smiled. They all knew it wasn't over. Lena Marks stood beside the mayor, arms crossed. Her clothes were torn, her face bruised, but her eyes were sharp. She had not slept in 2 days. She didn't plan to sleep tonight either. Mira sat nearby, wrapping a bandage around her arm. Talon helped her, trying to keep the cloth tight. His fingers were shaking. His face looked older now, not from years, but from fear, fire, and everything he had seen. Mira winced. They won't stop, will they? No, Talon said. Lena looked up. Oh, neither will we. The people of Cairo 3 were tired of hiding. Their colony had no soldiers, no army, but they were still alive. That meant something. They had become fighters. It started with tools. Farming blades turned into spears. Mining drills were reforged into guns. Mechanics turned fuel tanks into fire bombs. Children worked beside adults, building traps and loading gear. Even the old helped, sitting by fires, shaping sharp stakes from wood. They called it the Farmers' Revolt. Lena didn't smile at the name, but she didn't stop them from saying it either. The Dravik had made a mistake. They had come to harvest the weak. Now they were facing the desperate. Talon found something strange near the forest edge, a broken Dravik device. It looked like a scanner, but half of it had melted. He brought it to Lena. She studied it for a long time. This isn't just for tracking, she said. It copies data. Records sound, images, everything, you mean. They know all our plans? Talon asked. They did, she replied. Until we broke this one. She took a deep breath. But they may have others. That night, Lena gathered the colony in the old grain hall. One of the few buildings still standing. She stood in front of the people and said, "We are not just defending anymore. We are striking back." Whispers moved through the crowd. Some looked scared. Others looked angry. Few nodded slowly. "They think we're animals hiding in mud," she said. "Let's show them we can bite." Talon felt something strange in his chest, something hot and steady. Hope the next day. Teams moved out of the colony. They weren't soldiers, but they acted like them. They moved in silence, walked in lines, checked their surroundings. Person carried a weapon even, if it was just a stick, sharpened with glass. They hunted drove. In the woods. Myra's team found an old Dravik drop pod. It was empty, but the lights still blinked. Inside were strange tools, metal claws, long wires, and masks that looked like bones. Mira placed explosives inside and blew it to ash. Talon's group moved toward the mountains. They had seen flashes there the night before, light against the rocks. As they climbed, they heard clicking noises, soft, mechanical. They followed the sound deep inside a cave. They saw them, for Dravik, standing still, glowing eyes staring at a wall. Strange symbols were being carved into stone using lasers from their fingers. They were marking something. Talon didn't wait. He threw a sound bomb into the cave and ducked. The blast echoed like thunder. 2 Dravik fell. The other 2 charged. But the humans were ready. Traps snapped. Spears flew. The aliens didn't survive. When it was over, Talon looked at the symbols on the wall. Lena came later to study them. Her face grew tight. "This is a map," she said, "of the colony. Of everything." She pointed at one symbol, and I think that's their landing site. Back in the colony, they made a plan. It wasn't smart, it wasn't safe. It was the only way. They would attack the Drovik camp at night. Lena led the charge. Mira, Talon, and 10 others followed. The forest was dark. The air was cold. Every step felt like a drumbeat. The Drovik camp was hidden in a valley surrounded by rocks. At least 20 of them moved around inside. Their machines were working loud, strange, glowing. But they weren't watching the cliffs above. The humans climbed silently. They placed firebombs, sound charges, and electric nets. Then they waited. Lena raised her hand. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 2, 1. The sky lit up. Explosions rocked the valley. Drovik screamed in their twisted voices. Flames shot into the air. Drones tried to rise but were pulled down by the nets. Talon threw 2 bombs into the machines. Sparks flew. Mira used her spear to take down a Drovik trying to climb the rocks. Lena dropped into the middle of the chaos with her rifle firing. In 10 minutes, it was over. The camp was destroyed. The humans pulled back, losing only 1 man. He was buried. With honor the next day, that attack changed everything. The Drovik stopped walking near the colony. Their drones flew higher. Their movements became slow. Careful, afraid, the humans had become predators. But victory came with a price. 3 days. Later, a strange storm hit the colony. No wind, no rain, just darkness. A black cloud moved over the town. Lights died. Machines stopped. Then came the noise. A low sound, like metal grinding. It came from below the ground. People gathered in the square. "Weapons ready," Lena whispered. "They're coming from underneath." Before anyone could move, part of the ground exploded. A Drovik crawler burst out, 6 legs covered in black armor. It opened its mouth not to speak, but to scream. A high-pitched sound that shook the air. Other holes opened. Drovik came up. From tunnels, attacking from below, the humans fought back. But this time, it was chaos. Fire traps didn't work in the mud. Spears broke against crawler armor. The Drovik moved faster, smarter. They grabbed people and dragged them underground. Lena screamed for the teams to regroup. Mira was knocked down by a blast, her leg cut badly. Talon pulled her behind a wall. Swinging his knife at anything that moved, the town burned again. This time, the Drovik left before dawn. But they had taken 10 people with them. No one slept that night. Lena sat on the ground, staring at the flames. "They're adapting," she said. "We hurt them. Now they're learning." Talon sat beside her. "We can't keep doing this," he said. Lena looked at him. I know. He looked at the sky. "Do you think Earth got our message?" "I hope so." They stayed quiet. Then a voice came from the radio. Just one word. "Received." Talon stood up. "Say that again," the voice repeated. Louder this time. "Received. Cairo 3. Help is coming." People ran to the radio station. Some cried. Some shouted. Some just stood there, not believing it. Lena smiled for the first time in days. But then the signal changed. "A second voice spoke. "Not human. We hear you too." The Drovik had intercepted the message. They knew Earth was coming. Now the clock had started. Lena stood before the people once more. "We have days," she said, "maybe less. They'll throw everything they have at us. We survive until help arrives." Talon raised his hand. "And if help never comes?" Lena looked at him. "Then we make sure the Drovik never forget this place." Humans nodded. The colony was tired, bleeding, scared, but it was not broken, and somewhere far away, Earth's ships had turned toward Cairo-3, but so had something else, something much worse, and it was moving faster. The stars were no longer quiet. From the surface of Cairo 3, The night sky now pulsed with strange lights flashes of blue and red. Slow-moving shadows that drifted across the stars like massive whales. The people below didn't sleep. They stood on rooftops and hills, staring upward with silent fear. Earth had heard their message. A human voice had replied. That gave the colony hope. But then came the second voice, the voice that was not human. It came through the same channel, full of static and poison. "We hear you too." That one sentence changed everything. Lena Marks stood in front of the radio tower, holding her old data pad. Her hands were tight around it, knuckles white. Had spent the last hour listening to both transmissions over and over. There was no doubt anymore. The Dravik knew. Talon sat beside his sister Mira on a broken bench. Mira's leg was still wounded from the last attack, was wrapped in cloth and some kind of herbal paste from the greenhouse. She smiled at him, but it was a tired smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. Talon looked at the sky. "They're going to hit us harder, aren't they?" Lena nodded without looking at him. "Yes. How long do we have?" "Not long enough." The people of Cairo 3 began preparing again. This time it was different. This time, they didn't just fix the traps or clean their tools. They built deeper bunkers. They reinforced every wall. They even wired the water pipes to explode if needed. Every corner of the colony became a weapon, and then came the day the sky cracked. At noon, the clouds above split open. Not naturally, not with wind or thunder. They simply tore like paper being ripped apart by invisible claws. A shadow fell over the land. Everyone looked up. A ship lowered from the sky. But it was not like the small Dravik drop pods they had seen before. This was something massive. Bigger than the entire colony. It hovered like a god, black and jagged, glowing from inside like a slow-burning fire. Talon's mouth went dry. "It's a city," Mira whispered, "in the sky." Lena didn't speak. She didn't have to. The Dravik had sent their warship from the ship's underbelly. Shapes dropped, dozens of them. Not pods this time, not scouts. Full war units. The ground shook as they landed outside the colony. Metal giants, armored beasts, strange machines, with legs and spikes and glowing weapons. One machine stood taller than the rest, 10 feet high, shaped like a humanoid insect, with blades for arms and a helmet made of bone. They didn't wait this time. They attacked as soon as they landed. The first blasts hit the colony's east wall. The barrier exploded in flames. 2 houses collapsed instantly. Fire spread fast. People screamed. Children were pulled into shelters. Traps exploded, but they weren't enough. This was not a raid. This was full invasion. Lena shouted into the old colony loudspeaker. "All fighters to the west line. Evacuate sectors 3 and 4. Hold the line." Mira stood even with her injured leg. Talon tried to stop her. "I'm not staying behind," she said. They both ran into the fire. The Dravik moved like machines, but smarter. They didn't just kill. They destroyed. They targeted water tanks, food stores, and power cores. They wanted to leave nothing behind. Lena fired from the rooftops. Her rifle glowed red from heat. Each shot dropped 1 Dravik, but more kept coming. She jumped down and led a squad of fighters into the alleyways, using the narrow paths as ambush points. Talon and Mira helped lead children out of the school. Drones flew over their heads, scanning and marking targets. One drone fired a laser. Blast. Struck the school roof and set it ablaze. Talon screamed for help. 2 workers arrived with firebombs and took the drone down. It exploded in the air like a star dying. But it was only the beginning. The giant insect-like Dravik walked into the center square. It carried a long staff made of black crystal. When it slammed it into the ground, a shockwave tore through the colony. People fell to their knees. Buildings cracked. The machine spoke. Its voice was deep and wrong, like a scream underwater. "Cairo 3, you are unworthy. You are finished." Lena stared up at it. "Not yet," she whispered. She pulled out a small detonator from her vest. All around the square, buried deep under. The stones were explosives. She clicked the button. The ground erupted. Flames rose into the sky. Metal flew like knives. The giant Drovik roared and stumbled backward. Its armor cracked. It fell to one knee. But it wasn't dead. It stood again. It stood again angry. Now Lena shouted, "Hit it now!" The colony's last rocket launcher, hidden under a cloth tarp in the mechanic's shop. Fired, the rocket hit the creature in the chest. This time, it fell and didn't get up. A cheer rose from the people, but it didn't last long. More Drovik poured from the forest. They had landed in multiple places. Cairo 3 was surrounded. There was no escape. In the command center, the mayor looked at Lena. "We can't win this." "No," she agreed, "but we can make them bleed." They activated the final protocol. No mercy. The people of Cairo 3 fought like no one expected. Every alley, every rooftop, every field became a battleground. They used everything: tools, wires, even cooking oil to set traps. They had no real army, but they had hate. And that was enough. The Drovik didn't understand human madness. They didn't understand why someone with no armor would run straight into fire to protect a child. They didn't understand why someone would smile while throwing themselves onto a Drovik weapon just to buy a few seconds. They didn't understand why a farmer with one arm could kill 3 soldiers with a shovel and a torch by the 3rd hour. The Drovik began to fall back. They were not winning fast enough. Inside the colony's bunker, a young woman with a radio screamed, "I hear something, a signal. It's Earth." The sound was faint but clear. "This is the 7th Response Fleet. Cairo 3, we're here." People began crying, but Lena stayed cold. "They're not down here yet." Outside, the Drovik warship began to charge its main weapon. A red light gathered beneath it. The sky turned crimson. Lena stared at it. "There. Going to wipe us out before help lands?" Talon looked at her. "What do we do?" She looked down at her datapad, then up at the warship. "We fly." "What?" "We hijack one of their dropships, and we take it up there." "Up there." Talon's voice cracked. Double quotes, "Yes, and we blow the main cannon before it fires. That's suicide." Lena smiled. "Only if we fail." Talon nodded. Mira limped forward. "Then we won't fail." They gathered a small team. Just 6 people. They charged through the ruins. Found a damaged Drovik dropship. Mira hacked the controls with a stolen tool. It hummed to life. They flew. The sky burned red around them. The ship groaned. But it reached the main Drovik vessel. Lena opened the door. The team jumped into the beast. Inside the Drovik ship was alive walls, pulsing wires moving like veins. Creatures moved through narrow halls, speaking in their strange tongue. The humans didn't stop. They fought through. Blade against bone. Fire against shadow. Blood on steel. They reached the core, a glowing machine, size of a house. The red light grew stronger. It was about to fire. Lena opened her last bomb, the one with a nuclear heart. Old tech. Dangerous. She set it on the core. A Drovik general appeared, tall, cloaked, holding a staff. Talon raised his weapon, but the general was faster. It struck him hard, sending him flying. Mira screamed and ran at it with her blade. It struck her too. Lena stepped forward. She didn't speak. She just fired 1, 2, 3 times. The general dropped. Lena turned to Talon and Mira, who lay bleeding, but alive. Then she turned back to the bomb. The timer blinked. 15 seconds, she smiled. "We were weak," she whispered. "That's what they thought." She pressed the button. The sky lit up. The Drovik warship cracked in half and vanished in flame. Below, on Cairo 3, the people saw the explosion, and then they saw something else. Human ships entering the atmosphere, dozens of them, sleek, bright, angry. The colony cheered. The nightmare was over. But they would never forget what it cost, and neither would the galaxy. Dark smoke rose from the valley. Fields where children once played were now black. The once peaceful skies of Cairo 3 were filled with the burning wreckage of alien ships. But the air still carried a question: how much longer could they survive? Lena Mark sat near a broken console inside the old mining bunker. Wires sparked, the screens flickered. She had fought many battles, but this one was different. The enemy wasn't just powerful, they were angry. They'd underestimated the humans once. They wouldn't make that mistake again. Behind her, Commander Hal Briggs limped into the room, blood dripping down his leg. He didn't care. Did the signal get through? He asked. Lena shook her head. Jammed again. They're blocking everything. Outside, the wind screamed. The second Drovik mothership hovered above the clouds, pouring down more troops. Heavy walkers moved through the forests. Drones buzzed overhead, hunting anyone still breathing. The colony had lost almost 40% of its people, but they were still standing. "We have to reach Earth," Lena said, her voice cold and firm. "We don't. We die. All of us." Hal nodded. "Then we send someone, on foot, through the wildlands." Everyone turned when they heard that. The wildlands were deadly. Strange creatures lived there. Old mining ruins filled with radiation. That was the only way the Drovik couldn't jam signals from there. So there was one comes tower deep in the jungle. If someone reached it, they could beam a short burst message to Earth. It was a suicide mission. 3 volunteers stood forward. The first was Eli Trent, a 19-year-old farmer who had never left the colony walls. The second was Rika, a quiet scout, who knew the wildlands better than anyone. The third was Juno Hall's daughter. "I'm not letting you go," Hall growled. "I'm the fastest we've got," Juno replied, tightening her boots. "And you know I'll make it." Lena put her hand on Hal's shoulder. "If she makes it, we all have a chance. If she doesn't, we're already dead." That night, under the cover of ash and darkness, the 3 left the colony and slipped. Into the wild, the journey was brutal. They climbed cliffs where ancient machines rusted in silence. They crawled through tunnels filled with venomous bugs and glowing moss. Drones scanned overhead, but the thick jungle vines kept them hidden. Rika led the way, silent and sharp, using old paths the aliens didn't know. After 2 days, Lee's leg was cut open by a spiked trap. He screamed once, and that was enough. A Drovik drone spotted them. Rika shot it down, but the sound brought others. Fast ones. "Hunting drones, we can't all make it," Eli said, sweating and pale. "Leave me. I'll slow them down." "No," Juno whispered. "We stay together." Eli looked up at her, eyes full of peace. "No, Juno, we don't. Not this time." He turned, pulled out a small plasma charge from his pack, and limped toward the sounds of the drones. His last words were soft, but clear. "Tell Earth we never gave up." The forest lit up behind them as he triggered the blast. Fire burned. Through the night, Juno and Rika didn't stop running. They reached the old tower on the 3rd night. The place was silent. Dead for years. Rusted. But the power core still worked barely. Rika climbed to the top while Juno checked the signal dish. Then the sky opened again. Drovik patrol ship had followed their heat signature. It hovered above the tower, bright lights scanning the ruins. Rika ducked behind the antenna, trying not to breathe. Juno looked at the console. It had power just enough for one burst message. No time for anything long, just a sentence or 2. Her hands shook. She typed fast. "Cairo 3 under attack. Colony not dead. It's fighting. Send help." She hovered over the send button. Then she saw movement. A Drovik soldier dropped down from the SCA. Patrol ship. Then another, and another. The jungle lit up with their blue armor. They knew she was here. "Rika," Juno shouted. "Send it." Rika tapped the signal, and the console beeped once. Message sent. A beam of light shot upward into the sky and narrow. Focus signal that vanished into the stars. They had done it. But now, the Drovik were everywhere. They fired without warning. Rika was hit in the side. She screamed and fell from the tower, crashing into the trees below. Juno ran. Thorns and blood, she ran. She didn't make it far. A Drovik captain caught her with a plasma whip. Her scream echoed through the trees. She dropped to her knees. The alien stepped forward, laughing in its growling voice. "You think Earth will save you?" It hissed. "You're alone." Juno smiled through blood. Then why do you look afraid? The Dravik paused. Behind them, the tower exploded. Rika's last move, she'd rigged the core to blow. Fire tore through the trees. The Dravik captain fell back, its armor melting. Juno crawled away, barely breathing. She didn't care if she lived. The message had gone through. Far above Cairo 3, floating in the black silence of space, a listening satellite caught the burst. A second later, it forwarded it to Earth's deep communication relay. Then it was logged, translated, and passed through 5 defense networks. By the time Earth's generals read the message, it had already spread. The High Council of Earth sat in silence. KAIO-3 was supposed to be a soft colony. Peaceful. No weapons. No troops. But they hadn't died. They were fighting. A general stood. How long will it take to reach them? He asked. The answer came. 6 days. The general nodded. Then we move now. Below Earth's surface, deep in black vaults, old warships came to life. Titan-class transports powered up. Veterans from past wars answered the call. Mercenaries, outlaws, and even War Eyes woke from sleep, because there was one rule in the galaxy everyone knew. If a human colony asks for help, you send hell back on Cairo 3. Lena sat with Hell near the bunker wall. A small speaker crackled. She jumped up. Repeat that, she said. The speaker buzzed, and a clear voice came through. This is Earth Command. Message received. Hold the line. Tears rolled down Lena's face. Al looked up at the dark sky, the people around them. Cheered. They had been left alone, beaten, outgunned, but they had not broken. And now, Earth was coming, and the Dravik. They had no idea what was about to hit them. Not yet, but soon. Very soon. They would understand the price of choosing the wrong colony, and it would be the last mistake they ever made. The Dravik ships hung in the sky like dark monsters. Their lights blinked, and their engines hummed with power. Below them, the human colony of Cairo 3 stood silent. Smoke rose from broken buildings. The people hid inside bunkers and tunnels. They were tired, wounded, but still breathing. The Dravik were angry now. They had sent 3 waves of soldiers, and all had failed. Humans had no army, no fleet, and still, the Dravik kept losing fighters. It made no sense to them. Commander Vorkal of the Dravik Empire watched from orbit. He stared at the colony through a giant screen. He couldn't believe it. Farming world weak and soft had killed 200 of his best troops. This is shameful, he growled. We will crush them in one day. Beside him stood his second-in-command, Turek. He looked uneasy. They're adapting, Commander. They are using the terrain traps. Heat signatures vanish, then reappear. They're learning. Eyes narrowed. Then we stop playing. Ready the firebombs? Burn the forests, smoke them out, and jam every signal. No more messages to Earth, Turek nodded. Yes, Commander. Down on Cairo 3, the colonists moved through hidden tunnels. Lena Marks, the old engineer turned fighter, walked with a limp. Her leg had been injured when a drone exploded near her, but she kept moving. She entered the underground command room. It was small, lit with old bulbs, and filled with worn-out people. Farmers, miners, 2 medics, a teenager on comms, and a baby asleep in the corner. No soldiers, just survivors. We need to prepare, she said. They're coming again. This time, they won't hold back. A young man stood up. His name was Devon. He had once been a farmer. Now he was a fighter. We can't win a full strike. They'll drop fire from the sky, burn everything. Lena nodded. We don't need to win. We need to hold. Hold? Devon asked. What? For what? Lena looked up. Her voice was low. Reinforcements. The room went quiet. You think Earth? Heard us, someone whispered. Lena didn't answer. She wasn't sure. The last message had been short, few words before the Dravik shut the signal down. Maybe it had reached Earth, maybe not, but they had to believe if they didn't. Was over. Outside. The sky began to glow red. The Dravik had started their firebombing. Forests around the colony burst into flames. Tall trees cracked and fell. Animals screamed. The air turned thick with smoke. Fire rolled over the hills like waves. The colonists stayed in the tunnels. They had dug deep. They had planned for this. But the oxygen levels were dropping fast. They couldn't stay underground forever then. The lights flickered. The bunker systems were failing. Up in space. Commander Vorkal watched the fires with a smile. "Let them choke," he said, but just as he turned to leave the control room. An alarm rang. "Unidentified signal approaching," shouted a Drovik technician. "What is it?" Vorkal demanded. The screen blinked. A new dot appeared, small at first, then larger. "It's a ship," said the technician. "No, multiple ships. They're human." Vorkal's smile vanished. "From Earth." "Yes, sir. How many?" "Fast response corvettes. Assault carriers. And one unknown class. Very large." Vorkal's face darkened. "Battle stations." On Kira 3, the people heard the loud boom from above. Something had entered the atmosphere. Devon rushed outside and looked up. The smoke was thick, but through it, he saw something cut across the sky like a blade of light. A human ship. He dropped. To his knees. For a moment he just stared. Then he ran back inside. "They came," he shouted. "They came." Cheers filled the bunker. Tears ran down faces. People hugged. Even Lena smiled. But it wasn't over. Above them, war had just begun. Drovik launched interceptors. Fast ships with laser cannons and plasma nets. They flew like angry insects toward the human fleet, but the humans weren't unprepared. The assault carriers opened their bays. Swarms of drones flew out. Old models, rough and unpolished, but deadly. The human corvettes moved with speed, dodging. Drovik fire and hitting back harder. Explosions lit up the sky. Then, the large unknown human ship appeared. It had no name, no markings. It looked patched together, like it had been built in secret. But when it opened fire, even Vorkal took a step back. A massive beam of blue energy hit the Drovik's main cruiser. Shields cracked. The cruiser broke apart in one blast. Command ship shook. "What is that?" he yelled. No one answered. Down on the planet. The people of Cairo 3 watched with wide eyes as pieces of the Drovik ships fell like burning stars. The tide had turned. The human assault team landed near the colony. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were Earth's forgotten, the exiles, mercenaries, veterans of old wars. They had strange armor, custom weapons, and eyes that had seen too much. Their leader was a woman named Rika Sol. Her face was covered with scars, and she wore a long coat that smelled of gun oil and blood. She met Lena at the edge of the forest. "You held them off with farm tools?" she asked, smiling. Lena nodded. "We did what we could." Rika looked around at the tired, dirty colonists. "You did more than that. You made the Empire bleed." And then Rika raised her rifle and pointed to the sky. "Now we make them run."
Oh.
The Earth troops leading, the humans pushed back. The Drovik ground forces were confused and scattered. Their leaders had been killed in the first strike from orbit. Now they had no orders, only fear. The colonists joined the fight. Lena led a team of tunnel fighters. Devon drove a mining truck filled with explosives straight into a Drovik walker. It exploded in a fireball. The forest turned into a battlefield. Trees burned. The ground shook, but this time it wasn't humans who screamed. It was the Drovik commander. Vorkal tried to escape. His last ship turned toward the edge of the system. But the large, unknown human ship locked onto him. Vorkal shouted, "We surrender, we surrender." No reply came. A single missile launched. Vorkal's ship exploded in silence. The war was over. When the dust settled, the people of Kir 3 walked outside. The fires were dying. The sky was clearing. Smoke still hung in the air, but stars were visible again. The Earth forces stayed for a short time, helped clean up, treated wounds, left supplies. Then they left. Rika Sol didn't say goodbye. Just handed Lena a small device. "If they come back," she said, "press this." Then she was gone. Lena stood in the middle of the colony. Around her, people began rebuilding. Homes would be raised again. Crops would be planted again. But something had changed. The galaxy now knew the truth. KAIRO3 was not weak, not anymore. And somewhere out there, other aliens watched the recordings of what had happened. They saw Drovic ships fall. They saw farmers fight like warriors. They made a note in their records. Do not touch the humans, because even their weakest will fight back, and you may not get a second chance. The stars above Cairo 3 were quiet again. The fires had died. The smoke had cleared, and the air smelled of ash and new soil. It had been weeks since the Drovic were destroyed. The Earth rescue team had returned to space, and the colonists were rebuilding slowly. But something lingered in the wind, an uneasy feeling that not everything was over. Lena Mark stood near the damaged signal tower. The structure still sparked now and then, even though it had been patched with wires, scrap, metal, and parts from old mining bots. She was tired, her hair streaked with gray, her eyes heavy from nights of little sleep. But she kept checking the skies. Beside her, Devin adjusted his rifle. "You think they're coming back?" he asked. Lena didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Not the Drovic, but someone else." Devin looked confused. Why would anyone be crazy enough to come here now? Lena looked up, because this colony just made history. Across the stars, stories of the Drovic defeat spread like fire. Alien worlds whispered the tale, how Earth's weakest colony farmers and miners had stood against warships and walked away alive. Some believed it. Others didn't. But one race, the Zorik Consortium, saw an opportunity. The Zorik were not like the Drovic. They didn't want planets for conquest. They wanted profit. They watched the Drovic lose ships, soldiers, wealth, and saw weakness, not in Cairo 3, but in Earth's pride, to the Zorik. Cairo 3 was now the most valuable data point in the galaxy. If a colony could resist like that, then something rare lived there, something worth studying, maybe even stealing. So they sent a science ship, quiet, cloaked, and armed not with weapons, but with tools to harvest information. It arrived in the system without a sound. The ship's name was Observant Silence. Its mission was not to attack, but to observe and extract. Its leader, High Collector Ventral, stood in his dark chamber, studying a screen. Images of the Cairo 3 battle played on loop. Human traps, ambushes, unity, fearlessness. He tapped his long fingers on the table. "Incredible," he whispered. "These primitives are more than they appear." His assistant, a smaller Zorak named Yel, nodded. "What shall we do?" "Begin collection," Ventral said. "I want samples. One colonist, at least. Alive." On Cairo 3, the sun was rising. Children played outside again. The farmers planted seeds in fresh soil. Life was returning. But high above them, invisible and waiting, the Observant Silence floated in orbit, scanning everything. That night, Lena noticed something strange. The sky flickered for a moment, just one blink, scanned, then returned to normal. Most people wouldn't have noticed. Lena had once worked with satellite systems. She knew that flicker was not natural. "Someone's here," she said quietly. She called Devin and a few others. They gathered in the old bunker. "No alarms," Lena said. "No panic. But we prepare." Devin frowned. "But we don't even know who it is? We didn't know the Drovic either. And we still survived." Devin nodded. "So what's the plan?" "We watch. We lay traps." Lena didn't know who was watching them from orbit. She wasn't going to let her people be studied like animals. The next night, it happened. A soft blue light appeared in the forest, a shimmer. Then a tall figure stepped out of thin air. It wore smooth armor, no visible weapons, and a helmet that glowed faintly. It moved quickly, silently, scanning trees and soil. It was a Zorik collector drone. Lena saw it from a hilltop through binoculars. She didn't wait. She pressed a button on her belt. The ground under the drone exploded. Not enough to kill it, but enough to knock it down. Colonists swarmed from the trees. Devin tackled the drone, ripped off its helmet, and shoved a stunner. Against its neck, the drone collapsed. They dragged it into the bunker. "Looks like a scout," Lena said. "Some kind of tech collector." Devin looked at the strange body. It wasn't a soldier. It was thin, light, and wired with sensors. "They're studying us." Lena nodded. "Yes, and they probably think we're too dumb to notice." Above them, the observant silence noticed the drone had stopped transmitting. Ventral stood in silence. "They captured it," Yell said. Ventral's eyes glowed. "Then the humans are smarter than we thought," turned to his team. "Ready the next phase?" On the surface, Lena and her team opened the drone's body and found something ADA tracker. Yes, but also a memory unit filled with footage. Every movement it had seen, every voice it had heard. Lena studied the data. "They're collecting our behavior." She didn't know what the Zorak wanted, but she had a bad feeling. These aren't soldiers. These are harvesters. That night, 3 more drones came. But the humans were ready. They used EMP pulses, tripwires, and even sound traps made from old mining gear. 2 drones were captured. 1 was destroyed. The humans now had tech samples, alien wiring. Strange. Crystal's memory cores, Lena, sent a secret message on the device Rika's soul had left her. Message sent. No reply, but still, she hoped. High above, Ventral was impressed and disturbed. They capture more drones. They adapt too fast. And now he paused. "They have our memory cores," L asked. "Do we retreat?" Ventral shook his head. "No, we go down ourselves. We'll lead." This was no longer research. This was personal. That night, the sky split. For just 1 second. A tear in the air. Then it closed. Ventral had arrived on the planet. With 2 elite Zorak hunters, they moved through the colony outskirts silently. Invisible, scanning. They did not expect what happened next. As they passed a barn, the ground opened beneath them. A trapdoor snapped shut. Gas filled the space. Electric pulses ran through the floor. The 3 Zorak hunters dropped. Lena stepped into the light. "We've had enough visitors." Ventral tried to rise. "You are not supposed to be this advanced." Lena knelt beside him. "We're not advanced," she said. "We're just human." She turned to Devin. "Put them in the mine shaft. Lock it down." For the next 2 days, the colony went silent. No signals, no open movement, just cold preparation. Then one night, the stars above flashed again. This time, the Earth ship came back. It was Rika's soul. Her voice came over. "The bunker comes." "You called." "What's wrong?" Lena smiled. "Bring a science team," she said. "We've got new tech for you." Rika landed that night. When she saw the Zorak hunters locked in the shaft, her face turned cold. "Not Drovic. These ones are smarter." She turned to her team. "Take everything. Study every chip." "These aren't the last ones who'll come?" Lena asked. "Why do they keep coming?" Rika answered without smiling. "Because now, the galaxy knows who you are." They know the weakest colony fought back. They know Earth cares. And that's dangerous for them. Lena nodded. "We're ready." And so, Cairo 3 became more than a colony. It became a symbol, a spark, a place the galaxy would never ignore again. And in the dark corners of space, alien empires whispered one warning: don't test the humans, not even the weak ones. The ground of Cairo 3 was quiet, too quiet. The war was over. Invaders had been defeated, drones destroyed, Zorak hunters captured. And yet, the people didn't feel safe, because they all knew one thing now: they weren't a forgotten colony anymore. They were a message, a signal to the galaxy that Earth's weakest didn't die easy, that even in the farthest corner, even without armies or fleets, humans fight, and someone somewhere was going to take that personally inside. The old bunker, Lena Marks, sat in silence. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, but from exhaustion. Weeks had passed since they captured the Zorak hunters. Earth's science team had come, taken samples, studied the alien tech, and left with warnings. Still no one came again, but Lena could feel something. Something worse than before. Something building. Devin walked in. He looked different now. Older. Harder. A leader. "They're coming," he said. Lena didn't ask who. She just nodded. Yes, they were coming. Far across the stars, in a deep red system, a council of alien empires gathered. It's not warriors, not pirates, not raiders. Governments, leaders of species that had ruled sectors for centuries, they spoke of peace, power, and order. And all of them had heard the same rumor. The weakest human colony repelled the Dravik. They outsmarted the Zorok. They turned a backwater into a fortress. Some laughed. Others didn't, but one thing was certain: if even Earth's weakest could not be broken, then humanity itself might be far more dangerous than they ever believed. So a plan was made, not war. Something bigger, eh? A galactic suppression fleet. Not to destroy Kira 3, but to erase it completely, to wipe every trace of it, as if the colony never existed. Quiet. Fast. Final. 20 ships were launched. Cloaked. Advanced. No warning. No mercy. Back on Kira 3, Lena felt it before she saw it. The sky didn't flicker. This time, it screamed. A burning red line tore across the sky, one of the ships entering atmosphere. No stealth. No subtlety. They didn't care if the humans saw. They thought they had already won. But Kira 3 was ready. In the last weeks, every child had learned drills. Every elder had been trained on shelter systems. The colony wasn't just repaired, it had been reborn. Tunnels under every building, traps buried in every path, hidden missiles behind rocks. Camouflaged in dirt and snow, Rika Sol had left them defense satellite-sold tech. But powerful when aimed right, the first alien ship hovered over the fields, smooth, black, like a silent.
Ow.
Then it dropped a single word in all known languages: surrender. Lena stood on the old comms platform and clicked her. Mike, her voice was calm. No. From the mountains, a missile launched. It hit the ship's side, exploding in fire. It didn't destroy it, but it proved one thing. Kira 3 would fight again. The ship opened fire. Lasers burned the earth. Trees exploded. A barn was wiped out. But the colonists were not there. They were under the land now, moving through tunnels, setting off traps, scrambling jammers, disabling guidance systems. It wasn't a battle, it was a hunt, and the humans were the predators this time. One by one, more ships arrived. 20 ships turned into 15, then 10. By the end of the third day, only 5 remained. The rest were wrecks scattered across forests, fields, and hills. Smoke painted the sky. Devin's team took out 2 more using explosives buried inside a fake power station. The aliens realized too late every part of the colony was a weapon now. But then the real threat came. A supercarrier. The flagship of the fleet. 10 times the size of the Dravik ships. It didn't land. It didn't ask. It just charged its planet splitter cannon. Lena watched the sky turn dark. This is it, she said. Devin looked at her. We don't have enough firepower to stop that. Lena didn't answer. She walked into the bunker and unlocked the last box. Rika Sol had left one gift behind, a small, strange orb. With a warning, only use if the planet itself is at risk. Lena held the orb in her hand. It pulsed softly. She pressed the center. For 1 second, everything went silent. Then the sky opened. From deep space, an Earth War beacon activated. It had been hidden on the moon nearby, left during the Dravik War. It had sent one signal to Earth. Kira 3 is under full planetary siege. Back on Earth? The response was instant. The Human Defense Armada, still under development, launched its newest prototype. Titan-class warship Atlas. A machine of destruction. No crew. Full AI. Quantum speed. Destination. KAIRO-3. Time to arrival. 17 minutes. In the colony, people waited, sheltered, praying the supercarrier charged its cannon inside it. Alien commanders gave orders with cold silence. Cairo 3 was seconds away from being erased. But then the sky bent, like paper folding, and the Atlas arrived, massive, glowing, alive with power. It didn't speak. It roared. Blue light burst from its core. It shot through the supercarrier's weapon ports, ripping through shields like they were made of paper, in less than 1 minute. The supercarrier was gone. Only a falling storm of metal remained. The other alien ships tried to run. They never got the chance. The Atlas hunted them one by one by the time it stopped firing. The sky was clean, and Cairo 3 still stood. The people came out of shelters, quiet, crying, not because of fear, but because they were still alive. Lena looked up at the Atlas, now hovering like a guardian star. "Why us?" Devin asked. Lena smiled weakly. "Because the galaxy thought we were weak, so they tested us. And we showed them what humans do when we're pushed too far." Devin nodded. They both knew what this meant. KAIORO-3 was no longer a colony. It was a battlefield that would be remembered forever. A story passed in whispers. The place where humans were supposed to break, but instead became unbreakable. Far across the stars, the Council of Alien Empires received the report. Fleet destroyed. Colony untouched. They didn't speak. They just deleted Cairo 3's name from their database. Not out of ignorance. Out of fear. Because some places, you just don't go. Not anymore. And Cairo 3 was now one of them. A graveyard of invaders. A monument of survival, and the message had been carved into every ruined ship: don't test Earth. Even its weakest can destroy you.